In the heart of the dense forest, an unusual adventurer embarks on a quest. Meet Monkey Wench, a strikingly unique Bigfoot researcher, her eyes radiating determination, lips a bold statement. Her journey is not for the faint-hearted, for she is on the trail of the elusive Bigfoot. Every rustle of the leaves, every hoot in the wilderness heightens her anticipation. Monkey Wench, our charming adventurer, treads lightly, weaving through the undergrowth with grace and agility. Her senses are razor-sharp, catching even the faintest whisper of the forest. A broken twig, a disturbed patch of moss, each potential sign of Bigfoot sends a ripple of excitement through her. Her interactions with the forest dwellers are respectful, yet assertive. A determined explorer, she presses on into the unknown. As night descends, the forest echoes with strange sounds, fueling her determination. In the cold, eerie silence of the night, a mysterious shadow looms. Our brave Monkey Wench presses on, closing the gap between her and the ambiguous figure. The tension is palpable as she nears what could be a monumental discovery. Is this the elusive Bigfoot that Monkey Wench has been tirelessly searching for? The forest holds its breath, awaiting the unraveling of the mystery.
and I must have deleted.
Hi guys, how you doing? I know I got on here a little bit early, but hey, I was working and I just wanted to make sure I got on. Wow, we got quite a few people on here. So hi everyone. Old Line Cryptids, Jerry, I know Jeff was supposed to come on. Hey, Patrick, Melvin, Chad, good to see you. Hey, Jeff, I knew you'd be here. Pat. Okay, tell you what, I think we're going to have a really great, or geez, going to harken back into the 60s, really great show. All right. Let's go over the announcements. Let's get through this. And so I can get to my guests who are patiently waiting. I can see them waiting in the background. And we'll get them on as soon as possible. So let's just get through the announcements and then we'll get to them. Hey, Mark. Okay. We have our camp out April 24th through the 27th. That is Michaud State Park. Hey, Levon. That is in Cumberland County, Pennsylvania. That's right along the southern border, right along Maryland, Pennsylvania state line, near Gettysburg, about half an hour from Gettysburg. To get the details as to exactly which campground we will be at, you need to be a member of our Facebook group, Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project, and just go to the events tab. You'll get all the information there. Let's see. We do have additional campouts. They're in the planning stages. They will be announced in the main group. And so please join the group if you're not already a member. We're planning on, of course, the one in April. And I'm thinking one in June, then August and October. Let's see. Okay, and then throughout the summer into October, if you're interested in campouts in other areas, there's also the Southeast Ohio Bigfoot run by Doug Waller. Those are held in Salt Fork State Park in the group camp on Parker Road. Those dates, and in order to get more details, they have a Facebook page, not really a group. But if you join any of the Ohio groups, especially Ohio Bigfoot researchers groups, they'll have all the details, or get a hold of Jack Warren. You'll find him everywhere. He's a good friend. They're throughout the summer, every month, every single month, starting in April all the way through to October. And I do attend theirs as much as possible, only because I love Salt Forks just so much. I really do. It's great there. Love the people. Okay, and let's see. Order your official Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project merchandise. You saw a little hint there in one of the videos. You can contact me personally. You can send me a message on Messenger or tag me, whatever. You can get a hold of me. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, all kinds of stuff. Let's see, speaking things. I will be speaking at a number of events throughout the summer and into the fall. I'm trying not to overschedule myself like I did 2 years ago. I've backed way off. It's too exhausting. It honestly is. But there's a few events that I love the people so much, who run the venue, and I support them. So I attend their venues, and, whenever they ask me to speak, hey, I'm there for them. I will be at the Forest County Bigfoot Festival. That is in Marionville, Pennsylvania, June 6, 7, and 8. I don't know what the schedule is. I don't know any other speakers. And I have no idea which date I'll be speaking, but get on the group, Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project, and as soon as that schedule comes out, it'll be up on the group. And there's other events throughout the summer that I'll be speaking at, and those events will be listed in the group under the featured tabs. Let's see, and if you have any prayer requests, please let me know. You can contact me with anything. There's a number of people who have sent me requests, and we're there for you. You know, we're praying for you. And let's see. Thanks, guys. That's right, Blackie. Yep, jump up and down on that like button and subscribe to the channel. You don't want to see me get angry. Or else I'll go Hulk smashing on you. Okay, next week we will have another guest on the podcast. He is a Bible teacher, and he will be speaking about the Nephilim and the other biblical angelic type creatures. I don't think that he'll be tying them into Bigfoot. He's just going to come at it from a biblical direction and talking about the Nephilim and the cherubim and seraphim, etc. So it should be a pretty interesting show. He's a great guy. He's been a good friend for quite a while, supporter of the channel and of the group. And he's my go-to guy whenever I have a biblical question. And then let's see, I've got a couple other guests lined up for, I think, into next month. Nothing really nailed down yet on dates. But tonight we have two special guests, two great friends. I'll let Shelly take her. There we go. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, this is Steve Shelly, and I won't say your last name. If you want, you introduce.
That's fine. It's Stetzer.
Okay.
Yeah, we're out here in South Jersey.
Great couple, great Bigfoot researchers, and as well as other cryptids also.
Yeah, unexpectedly.
Yeah, unexpectedly, yeah. We ran into them a few years ago, and they've been, my go-to guys for your area out in New Jersey as well as Eastern Pennsylvania. I tell you what, guys, this couple, Steve and Shelly, I love them both. I do. I respect them as Bigfoot researchers, investigators in general, as well as being so nice. They are. You want to look for someone with integrity. That's these guys right here. I love you. Love you. So if you want to tell the guys about what you guys do and anything interesting going on.
We always have so much going on. You know that.
I know.
We save the best. Well, I'll try to make the long story short. When I was a kid, we had so much activity in the house that we're in now was my parents. and we have farmland. And growing up, something would always come to the window and put its hand on the screen, steal things from the field. We never had livestock missing, but like they would trample down the corn and different things like that. So my parents at first just thought I was a kid with an imagination, because I would scream, "There's a man at my window. There's a man at my window." Until my mother was standing in the kitchen and something took its hands and smacked the screens. We didn't have air conditioning. We had, we opened the windows in the summertime. Scared my mother half to death. So then she thought, it's a trespasser. It's got to be teenagers. This went on for years. And my brother and his buddies finally hid outside in the garage. And they saw this thing come up. And it stayed right at, well, it's a little further back now, but I should say closer to the house now, where the farm was, where the corn was. It came right to the edge of that. And they saw it. Like this whole crowd of men saw this thing. Wow. But it's funny because in New Jersey, they don't talk about Bigfoot. Like even him and I, such denial. Like we had stuff going on and we had no idea. Everything here is Jersey Devil. I thought my knowledge of Bigfoot, I thought it was an urban legend. I didn't even know people were discussing it as being something that's real. They shot, my brother had air guns, the BB guns. So they all come running out, but like lunatic. We were young. We were all teenagers. Went running out, shooting at it, and it took off and ran. And that was the last year it smacked its hands on the windows. But my brother, because I kept saying the tall man. That's what I would tell him. He's a tall man. So now looking back, once we realized what was here, I'm like, I was terrorized as a child. I lived in those woods. My brother and sister were so much older than me. And back then, my mom was, get out of the house. I'll see you at dinner time. So I lived in the woods, we have a stream that runs behind our house. I lived back there. So I pretty much, looking back, grew up with them. And then I had my first sighting almost 14 years ago. My first sighting actually was a baby. I was walking the dogs. We made all trails through our own property for the dogs, dog path. And I was walking the dogs and I thought it was a squirrel agitating. They jump and chitter. And so I heard all this ruckus to my left. And I just ignored it. And then I saw a shadow and I looked. It came down out of a tree and it looked at me. And I'm thinking in my head, like you're trying to make sense of it. I thought, why does that look like a baby monkey or an orangutan? Like, I don't know my primates. And I'm standing there like, that looks like a chimp or that looks like some type of monkey. So we're not too far from the Bridgeton Zoo. So I thought, I wonder if the primates got loose. So I called. And I said to the girl, this isn't a prank call. This is what I saw. This is what happened. And she's like, no, I totally believe you. People buy them on the black market, even though they're not allowed to. And the males apparently will mate 90 times a day. So when they get to a certain age, they become uncontrollable. And they set them free. So she said that particular zoo doesn't hold primates. They're like a smaller zoo. She says, we don't house them here. Call wildlife management. Call wildlife management. Explain to them what you explained to me. See if they can come out because it'll die. Okay. So I called, started off the same way. Like, this isn't a prank call. I'm not crazy. I'm not on anything. I explained it to them. They hung up on me. So that was that. So when Steve got home and my family got home and I told them, it was probably the lighting. It was probably a raccoon. It was a possum. It was this. It was that. So I pretty much just let it go. Mm-hmm. And then it was a few weeks after that. Again, I was out on our trails and I come around the corner and I heard ruckus behind me in the brush. And when I turned around, a female Sasquatch, she stepped out into the trail. Just no sound. She just looked dead at me. And I stopped looking dead at her. And all I remember is like looking at her eyes. And I'm saying her, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't look I couldn't tell you if she had breast. Just now researching them, I'm pretty sure it was the female.
Yeah.
After then meeting researchers and telling them what happened, well, we stayed quiet for 4 years. We told nobody, because 2 weeks after that, then he had his sighting. They said she probably had, her young one was probably where it wasn't supposed to be. And she stepped out to divert my attention. So the little one could get, into hiding.
Okay.
But nothing, not a sound, not a peep. She looked at me. I stared at her. It felt like eternity. I'm sure it was just seconds. And everybody said, did you scream? Did you run? No. Brain completely offline.
Yeah.
I froze. I remember nothing except for getting in the house and knowing my heart was beating in my head. And I just felt like jello at that point. I don't remember getting back to the house. I remember nothing. I just remember looking at her, and it was almost, the best way I describe it is like my brain was running through the filing cabinet going, what is that? What is that? What is that? So when they came home, they all laughed at me. They thought I was nuts.
You got to spend weeks looking for the monkey in the woods.
Yeah. They all thought I was crazy, but then he had his sighting, and but she looked at me, and when she turned, it's almost like she was all connected. Her head, her neck, and this whole side of her body moved in unison.
Okay.
And she just turned and went back the way she came, back into the woods. I got back in the house. I don't remember running. I don't remember walking. I don't remember getting back in here, but I was back in here. And that's when, everything, I just felt like jello. And then he was mowing the lawn, and he had his sighting. And that's where it all began, and it became an obsession since. That was my first sighting anyway. So we've been doing it ever since. So now our big thing, we're kind of at the stage where do we go from here? We all kind of know the routine. We've all got our own techniques or tactics. As far as research goes, where do we go? Well, Mary, we're big on recorders. We push people. Yes. Record.
Yep.
So we have a library of audio. And I decided to throw myself into trying to translate or figure it out, whether it's their language, whether it's the symbols. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to present it all at one time, because right now it's all, I don't have enough to really make a good call. I have our audio here from the habituation.
Okay.
Now, do they speak differently? I mean, I do in our other research locations here in New Jersey, but is the language the same in different states? We have no idea. Are they like us? Do they have different tribes speak different or different troops speak different languages?
Right.
And I've been saving this for you. What we did find, the few things that we could translate, and it made sense with what they were doing during the activity, was Hebrew and German. The words that we translated mean the same in German and Hebrew.
Interesting.
Yeah. We were at one of our research, we weren't here. We were at one of our research sites, and we started having activity, and, I had the recorders out. And we had gone in for the night. It was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. We had gone in, and I forgot something. I don't know if it was my cigarette. I don't know what it was. But I ran out of the camper back outside. And when I did, as soon as I went to shut the door, it sounded like a rock hit his truck. Well, when we went out the next morning, it was a huge rock and left a big dent in the side of the truck. So I said, well, good. I had the recorders running. So when I went back and listened to the recorders, they spoke clear, just a few words. So it was easier to try to translate it.
Okay.
It meant there was two of them. You could clearly hear that there was two different vocal tones. But it meant to toss. The definition of the word was to toss or to throw.
Oh.
And the rock hit the truck.
Boy.
I have the dent in my nice truck to prove it.
And it means the same. The word means the same in Hebrew and German.
Interesting. That is fascinating.
So that was
Wow.
one instance, but
Good
we found
catch.
a few more where it was just like they spoke a few words or a word, and I
Yeah.
tried to translate it the best I could. Once again, the word I could translate, and it translated into Hebrew, and it also meant the same in German. So are they speaking German? Are they speaking Hebrew? I don't know.
Yeah. Now, Northwest Native Tracker, one of the people in chat, he says the Bigfoot back east, which is he lives out west. They traded with the Norse, who came here in the 1600s or 600s. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's
So
what we're digging.
makes
I'm
sense.
digging into now.
Yeah, it makes sense with the Germanic influence.
Well, it's funny while researching that, statistically, and I'm not trying to say that Bigfoot is an alien. I'm not even going to go there today. But statistically, those that have had encounters with so-called aliens or abductions all have are of a German descent. Statistically, most of those that have claimed to be abducted are of a German descent. And I thought that was kind of odd too. Like, well, that's a little interesting. So we were at Prince Gallitzin, Steve and I and Levon from PA Cryptids. And he all week, this one trail was calling him. He's like, we got it. Because it's outside of the campground. So we went.
Was that a different time than whenever you were with me?
It was TJ's thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we all decided to stay. The three of us went. And sure enough, we had a sighting. Levon, I thought, was going to get a tree pushed on her. She didn't. It fell, but not near her, thank God. But I had Levon speak some German. So I was having her speak some when we were leaving. I had her speak. She was saying certain words. I don't remember what they were now. She could probably clear that up. But as she was speaking them, we heard another tree start to shake and crack. And we got some whoops. And I'm like, coincidence? I don't know. But that's kind of what I'm fiddling with now. That's you know how it is. You get your theories and then you go test them and see what sticks to the wall.
Exactly. And absolutely great findings.
Yeah. So I want to present all our audio at one time.
Yeah.
Plus, I want to gather. I mean, we have audio from other states.
Yeah, Pat. Pat on here. She's Blue-Eyed Northern on the chat. Yeah. I don't know if you see the chat where you're at or not.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Yeah, Blue-Eyed Northern. She's from Ohio, but she's living in Louisiana. But she has she's also in audio. And I think the two of you can get together and maybe compare notes. But no, that's fantastic.
Interesting.
Yeah. And Northwest Native Tracker said he confirmed the Nordic rune for ride in a Bigfoot area. I'd be interested in seeing what that rune is, Native Tracker. If you can send that to me, possibly, I'd appreciate it. Picture or drawing of what the rune is, or else I can maybe Google it.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. My grandparents came here from Germany. My grandparents spoke no English. They had to teach themselves. So I started, how like we talk about some people just seem to have more sightings where others spend their whole lives and go without one.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, if they're doing statistics on alien abductions, maybe we should start doing statistics and asking everyone's descent that seem to have sightings frequent or activity frequently.
Well, I've got a lot of German in me also.
So I'm wondering, there was one gentleman I found and he explained the reasoning, maybe why, but right now I would mangle it if I repeated it. So, about our history and all that. But I definitely think that there's also a spiritual element to them.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
here's your definition for the rune. A rune is a letter in a set of related alphabets known as Runsic Rho, Runsic Alphabetic, or Rorthanks, native to the Germanic people of the first millennial.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going to keep digging and see.
Yeah.
It's just hard because sometimes they start talking so fast and they have like this beat to it.
Yes.
Their
Yeah.
dialect. But
Yeah.
when they do, one or two words,
Right.
that I can really hear clearly, it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Fortunately, you can slow that speech down.
Yeah.
Do you have it up on SoundCloud?
No,
we
Your
have
audio. Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
Now,
'Cause
that's what I said.
What
I
am I
have to get
using
it
now?
all together
Yeah.
to make,
Well, you can put it up and hide it so no one
Yeah.
has access to it, but at least you have it saved somewhere.
Well, we do, but
we're
That's a whole other
working
story.
through a few different programs.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay.
the time.
Yeah.
Anybody that does
Mhm.
audio knows that it takes
Yeah.
so much
Yes.
time to go.
I used to be the audio person for a pretty large organization out in the Midwestern American Bigfoot Association or something like that. I was on their review board, and I know.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't just look at the computer and look for the best stuff you get is in them lower little nuggets.
Yes.
Is where all the good stuff. So I listen manually.
Yeah.
And I take notes and then go back and so
It's fantastic.
Forever. But you do what you got to do, right?
Absolutely. You do what works for you and what brings results in audio. It does.
Yeah. Some of the other odd things, besides certain words I've heard them say in English, I've caught them making electronic sounds.
Okay.
When we did the one investigation for you, what is the name of that park?
Ricketts Glen.
Ricketts Glen.
Yeah.
When we were there, we caught a water drop. Like you put it on your phone to drink water, the reminder.
Yeah.
I caught that at 3 a.m. in audio. But you can also hear like our tiki things, stuff's rummaging through our stuff. But when we got up, nothing looked like it was touched. And there's the water drop sound. There was nobody camp. We went in the cold. Remember, season was over. It was the fall. There was nobody there. I said, "Listen to this. We caught a juvie one time mimicking an owl, and it was not a good mimic. I laughed so hard. I was like, buddy, that's pretty bad.
The sickest owl we can ever have.
Yeah, like he was being taught how to mimic the owl, and he was not doing well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've caught some really super. And then again, as I say that, with the different mechanical sounds, how do I know it was Bigfoot?
Yeah.
There's a lot of I don't even want to say paranormal. There's a lot of stuff out there right now. And that's another thing that has made it hard for us because we know that. So now I have to dig deeper. Like, well, I need something more than this. How do I know it's a Bigfoot doing it? So that's been another issue for us.
Right. Yeah. And I've tried Audacity. I am not very techno person.
We're not either.
So
we started with Audacity. We moved on from that.
Yeah.
Only because if you don't know frequency, hertz, this, that, and the other, it's like, it's a version of whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. There's people that I send certain clips to who are better qualified than I am.
Yeah.
And who can really get down into, they've got basically military grade equipment that they know
Yeah.
what's human, what's animal, and what is down in the Bigfoot
Right.
range.
Yep, exactly. Like I try to research all that and remind myself. So after I listen to it manually, then we have to put it on and,
Yeah,
go through all that. It's just about getting to the truth.
yeah.
And
that's all it is.
anymore, there's some stuff out there that I just shake my head.
The longer we do it, the more we see. We'll just put
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a hard enough time getting people to want to open up to the idea that Bigfoot exists.
yeah.
And then comes all the, all the crazy. And I'm not, my beliefs. I'm not. I don't know where to go with that one because now I'm in a place where, okay, is there flesh and blood and interdimensional? Like, are there two separate? I don't, but I will say this after, so 14, so 12 years, they showed themselves in no other way other than a flesh and blood
Okay.
being.
Yeah.
Saw them no other way. You wouldn't have told me any different. I would have listened, I would have been polite, but I would have been like, okay. And then when they decided to show me something else, I thought, well, there goes all that research out the window. Now where do I go? Now what do I do? But I just tell everyone I don't force it because for me, that's something until you experience it.
Yeah.
That's something you have to experience to wrap your head around. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. If I wasn't there, I wouldn't believe it. So, but it's definitely made researching a little bit more challenging because now I need to, prove things to myself. So I'm like, are there two different things? Because I will tell you this, out of all my sightings, those particular beings look different. Their head wasn't as conical as like my first sightings and the sightings I had in Ohio and the sightings in PA. Their head is not as conical.
Okay.
You know the YouTube video where the guy has it on its roof, the creature on his roof?
Yeah.
They look like that. That's what these two look like. They were big and all, big hairy man. It would be a Bigfoot. But I'm going to tell you now, there was something about them that was different. So that's why now I'm in a place where, are there two different? Is there a? But then again, the other is the flesh and blood side of it. They showed me things that I hadn't seen. So why they decided, okay, we're 13 years into this with you. Let's show you what we can do. I don't know. So our other thing to get into is, okay, now we're all talking about, are they interdimensional? I said, okay, so how do we prove this one? So we've been doing a lot of work with different frequencies, but I noticed when we have activity, there's been times where the parabolic will go static. I'll go back on the recorder, and in that same time that the parabolic was all static, the EMF detector went off, and the recorder was all static. And when one stopped, all three stopped. It was like something we couldn't see came in close, and when it backed off. Now, 2 weeks ago, we went camping, and I was listening to the audio, and the static started. I could hear the static. Okay. The way the static was, it was kind of weird. It was like something charged in at the recorder. Like the static started off sounding like it was in the distance. Okay. And then it got loud. And then it was there for like a minute or two, and then it disappeared. Okay.
Now, have you experienced battery drain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of that can be explained by infrasound, which is natural. It's not supernatural.
Right.
It's and other animals can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Northwest Tracker, in the 0.03 hertz range.
Mhm.
It'll drain your batteries. It'll disrupt electronics, and of course, it does all the things to the human body that
Right.
we
Yeah.
don't like.
Yeah. So that's what I said. There's so much that we have to really, we got to dive in deep to it. We can't just make assumptions.
Right.
And, but I'm like, how do, unless you experience it, how do you prove this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been reading a lot about quantum physics, and I'm like, okay, this is way above my head.
Yes.
Yeah, I tried. I got to tell you.
Yep.
That was
I really have to
way
keep an
above my
eye on her.
head.
If she starts mixing chemicals and stuff, we're going to have to put a stop to that.
Yeah. The one thing that I can explain, like, let's get into the blurry pictures. It's been driving me crazy as someone that can see, and I don't want to use I'm not a medium. I want to make that clear. I am not a medium. I don't talk to dead people.
Mm-hmm.
But as someone that, and I don't like using the word clairvoyant, but for the sake of explaining it, I understand now about the pictures and the blurriness, and everybody's saying, I don't see it. And these people are going, it's right there. That happened to us.
Yeah.
When I started, I'm looking at videos and pictures, and he's looking at me like I've lost my mind. I'm looking at it like I'm looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so upset with him and so mad. And finally, I got instruction by someone else who's been clairvoyant since they were little. And she explained it to me. She's like, yeah, your abilities just kicked it up. She said, just pray and ask God, turn down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I did. But so to get back to that. So the Earth's frequency, the Schumann resonance has raised.
Yeah.
The Earth's vibration and frequency has raised.
Mm-hmm.
So now with these pictures that we're seeing, our modern day technology is starting to capture the other dimensions. Now, to clear that up, because everyone seems to get confused on that, they're not ghosts. They're not spirits. Like these orbs that we're seeing, they're not ghosts. And they are not spirits. You're not talking to dead people. You're not talking to, well, I'm not even going to go there. You may be. I was going to say you're not talking to demons, but guess what? You might be. It's because the Earth's natural frequency has raised and the vibration that our equipment is starting to capture them, because their dimensions and ours are starting to meet or have met, or if you want to call the veil is thinning.
Okay.
It is really scientific. I mean, science is even starting to come to the conclusion that yes, there are parallel dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
I explain to everybody this way. You can't GPS heaven. We all believe, most of us believe in heaven. We believe that when we pass on, we go to be with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a dimension. He's in the highest dimension that there is.
Yes.
So I don't understand how we can believe in God and we can believe in the devil, but we don't believe that there's anything in between. So, like I said, it does kind of get spiritual. That's why I'm interested in the gentleman you have coming on next week.
Yeah.
Like biblically, like I've been going through Revelations, trying to figure out like the things that I can see.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, there's things that I've read where I'm like, wow, I always kind of read that wrong. Like he says that we'll see stars fall from the sky.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I don't think he means actual stars. The things that I saw look just like stars. When you looked up, they just looked like stars. And then they came down from the sky. And in that moment, like I got a chill right up my back. Like, oh, are these the different signs that he tells us? Get ready, get ready.
Yeah.
You know, is there a biblical connection? We don't know. I've just learned that we're just a little itty bitty drop in the bucket.
Yeah, that's for certain. That really is, we know so little, and we grab little tidbits of information that we are learning, and
Yeah.
just try to extrapolate from there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
are we going in the right direction?
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
don't know.
Well, the other thing, when I see the blurry pictures,
Yeah.
And people get mad about it, I try to explain to the people that post it, like, look, you may be able to say it. I understand you say it, but there are people that aren't where you are in all of us. We are energy beings, and our frequency and our vibrations are all different. So you have to understand, you may see it clearly, but the next person looking at it is telling you, it just looks like one big fog, one big black blur.
Right.
So I said, you have to understand. That's why I try not to post them unless you can actually. I ask him. I show him. I'm like, can you see this? Do you see it, or do I just see it? But the other thing that really irks me about it, that a lot of the pictures that are being posted as Bigfoot or Dogman are not Bigfoot and Dogman, and I want to scream. If it doesn't look like a Bigfoot, it's not a Bigfoot. There's a lot out there. There's beings. There's all kinds of different things.
Yes.
So not everything that you capture is a dogman puppy, a Bigfoot, and a Bigfoot baby.
Right.
I'm looking at these pictures like I let it go. I just keep scrolling. Come on. If it doesn't look like a Bigfoot, I don't care where it's from. It could be from another planet. If it doesn't look like a Bigfoot, it's not a Bigfoot. So there's so much misinformation out there right now.
Yeah.
And it can be dangerous.
It truly can. People just don't understand how much is out there. We don't know how much is out there. But all we know is there's Bigfoot, there's Dogman, and there's a heck of a lot of other things out there.
Right.
That
there's
we don't know
right now.
Yeah. That are both evil.
Right.
They're just biding their time.
Correct. And that's what I try to tell everyone. One, and I won't, call her out by name, but I tried to talk to her privately. Like, look, I've had this experience. This is what's going on. And you're telling these people like, oh, no, you're putting these people at risk. So I said, this is a dangerous game you're playing.
Yeah.
So I said, there are tricksters out there. You can't just say that everything is a being of light and all full of love and rainbows.
No.
So, you have to really be, that's what I said, it's funny getting into the subject of Bigfoot led me down such a spiritual path that I never expected. My relationship with God is probably stronger now than prior to.
Yeah.
So if anything, I'm grateful for that.
It actually does. It deepens your relationship because, he's trusting you.
Yeah.
With this knowledge and by helping you to learn, and all you can do is pray for wisdom.
Yeah.
To keep learning.
Wisdom and discernment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what I said, I went through that for a reason.
Yeah.
And, that was my thing, as much as he kept saying, you talk about this, everybody's going to think you're crazy. I said, yeah, but I made a promise. I went through that and was shown these things for a reason.
Yes. I agree.
I'm going to talk about it. And if people don't believe it, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I said, but for those that, are going through it or may down the road go through it, I want them to remember like, oh, wow, this girl talked about this. Like, this is what I might need to do. So, yeah, I mean, we need to be careful when we're out there.
Yeah, we really do. And we've had different guests here on the show that come at this from different directions. And, I appreciate, no matter what direction you're coming from, I think we can learn from them no matter what. We may not agree 100%, but you can still learn from each other.
Well, as I said, everybody comes from a place of their own encounter.
Yep.
You know, like I said, the first 12 years, I had no reason to think otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't even know about what I know now. So, you know, when it happened, that was life-changing. I really thought I'd never research again. It took 3 months, right, before I finally, yeah. I thought I can't do this.
So in the short of it, we just say that the evidence is the evidence.
Right.
We're going to collect it.
Yep.
We'll present it. Like it or not, the evidence, it's the evidence. It's going to speak for itself. And the longer we do it, the more we find out that really we don't know very much.
Yeah. Right.
Honestly, every time you think you get to the end of it, a new chapter starts. So it's
that's right.
It's a very confusing.
I'll tell you, anytime that I thought I found a pattern from like documenting, I'd get excited. Like, I think I found something. I think I found a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
They'd switch it up just that quick. And I'm like, well, that shot that theory out the window.
Yep. And then it leads you down another rabbit hole.
Oh, you were in so many rabbit holes. And that's what I said.
Yes.
You know, that's what it's about, though. You know, can't choose a narrative and make everything fit in it.
No.
That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to leave no stone unturned.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to, because I've eaten my own words a million times.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Same here.
So now I'm like, I leave my mind completely open and just see where it goes. And, and then I just get more confused. But I'm like, can I just figure out one thing about them? Just one would be nice. But yeah, so that's where we're at with that. The habituation, we're still going strong. But again, you hit a plateau with them.
Yeah.
They're only going to give you so much. I don't think that they're ever going to trust us fully where they come moseying on out to say hello. You know, they'll give you what they're going to give you, and that's that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's good, that you don't only just research in your area around your home.
Yeah.
You go everywhere.
Yeah.
And see, okay, what are the differences?
Yeah. And there's a lot of differences.
Yeah.
A habituation is so different anyway, because they know your routine better than you know your routine.
Oh, yeah.
So their reactions to things are differently than when you're in the field.
Yeah.
Because everybody says, if I had them on a property that I owned, I'd never leave. And I'm like, no, you would. Because you do. We keep trying new things to get something from them. But you hit a plateau.
Yeah.
I said, and then when you're out in the field, and the one thing we learned, they're different. Their behavior is different in different states. So they're not the same. Their demeanor is not the same.
They're no different
even
than
state
us.
to state.
They have to adapt to their environment, their location, what they have at their will. And the biggest thing is the trust level is it's very hard to get any trust.
Yeah.
At all.
Yes. Yes.
And if you let
really
it, don't you betray it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hold grudges.
Yes.
Do not like change.
No.
At all.
No, they are creatures of habit. It practically OCD.
Yeah. That's one thing I can pretty much almost state as a fact.
Yeah.
They do not like change. And this is what I try to tell researchers. If you're going to investigate a habituation, you have got to research that differently than you would if you just moseyed out into the field. Because that troop knows that family. They know who belongs in that property, who doesn't belong in that property, who comes to visit. Do they have dog? What time do they eat? Who's coming in and out? They know it all. You go showing up and thinking you're walking out there with all this equipment and you're just going to have a sighting. I got news for you. You're either getting ran out or they're going to go silent and you're going to get nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I try to tell them it's different. Introduce yourself. Let the family take you around. Let them see you with the family.
Yeah. It has to come from the family.
Yeah. Yeah. We learned that the hard way here.
Yeah.
So, we had one researcher come out and they just were like, they were not having it. And then other friends that came out that were researchers, they spent the whole summer. They would just have a bonfire in the yard, and they left the woods alone. And we would watch them come in. You'd hear them coming in to observe. So those two were so good about it and following kind of the stipulations that Steve and I had.
Right.
And they did. They took their time. They let them just kind of see. And then finally one night, it was like they put on a show. And I was shocked. I'm like, you little buggers. You don't do that for me. I mean, they put on a show, which I was glad at least these people didn't think I was crazy. But
well, I'm sure they didn't anyways. But, if you go in and you don't push.
Right.
You don't, as a stranger going in, you don't go rushing around the property and putting up a ton of cameras and so on, and
those
whoops and hollers and banging on trees.
Yeah,
you don't do it.
The gentleman, he burst into tears.
Yeah,
it was so emotional for him. He's like, I cannot believe that I just witnessed this, that I just had this encounter. And he's like, thank you. I said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But it touched him. He's like, you gave me probably a once in a lifetime. And I said, well, that's the thing. You guys spent the time and did it the right way.
Yeah.
So, you cannot have arrogance in this.
No.
You better put your ego away and you better put your arrogance away because they sense it.
Yeah, I think, whenever I go somewhere, like on a camp out or in an active area, people think, because my way of researching is different. There, like I said before, a lot of people go rushing around the woods and so on and so forth. I sit by the campfire and I just keep a side eye into the woods.
Yeah.
I'm not looking directly in there. I let them come to me.
Right.
And just, hey, you want my attention, you better grab my attention.
Yep.
And
you don't even have to go anywhere.
No.
They'll come in. They're nosy. They want to see what we're doing.
They do. Yeah.
Because you know what they say, keep your enemies close.
Yes.
They want to see what we're doing. Are we hunters? Are we what are we doing?
Yeah.
And they're nosy. And some of them are I think they're bored.
Yeah.
They're playful.
Yeah.
We've been to certain places where they were absolutely playful. Maryland was incredible. We did some research in Maryland and we had a blast.
Yep. Can I ask you where?
We were near Aztec.
Oh, okay.
Aztec
Because we have a couple guys here from a Maryland group.
Old line.
Yeah, old line.
We're going to be on our podcast next week.
Yes.
Yeah. So we told them, we said, we've actually investigated in Maryland. So I'm going to pull the audio and some footprints we casted there for you.
All right. Great. I wanted to tell the chat, if you have any questions, chat, put them in capital letters, please. That way I'll notice them so I can bring them up. Okay, so type out your questions in all capital letters, please. All right, thanks. Sorry.
I'm reading Lee's comment.
Okay,
I'm training my rules. They tried running us out, so I ran them out with holy salt. They ran. Now it's no. Bigfoot, don't do this or that. Hope I live. You'll live.
Yeah, you'll live. They're fine.
Yeah.
You have to set those boundaries and let them know.
Yeah.
You do.
So,
absolutely.
For habituation, I will tell you this. They will do anything to try to intimidate you at first.
Yeah.
They will test you. Oh my. They did everything to try to scare me half to death in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I had learned from another researcher that, we had finally started talking to, do not react.
Yep.
As hard as it is, do not react.
Yep.
Don't stand there like an idiot.
Yep.
But you just go, okay, thank you. I'm going to leave now. And you just slowly let them know, like, no, you're not going to scare me. And I have it on our site where it was in the beginning, I was a newbie, and you hear it coming through the woods, and it was like in front of me. I couldn't see it, but it was right in front of me, and it banged. I don't know whether it's banging on its chest. I don't know if it's a guttural sound it made with its mouth, but the bang was so loud. And you'll hear me, I go, okay, time to go. Thank you. Have a good night. But you cannot give them the satisfaction of knowing they can scare you.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
You'll have to be respectful and don't be a dummy, but don't react with fear.
Yeah.
Because if they know they can scare you in a habituation situation, they're going to. We found that most of the time when they're harassing people, it's because that land or that house has sat vacant for some time period.
Yeah.
Now you've moved in to remodel, or you bought the farm, or you bought the land to build. Well, now they're like, this has been ours.
Yeah.
For this amount of time.
That's their property now.
And they're gonna give you the business. Yeah, we helped a girl out in Michigan a couple years back. And as soon as she started telling me what they were doing, I said, let me ask you something. Did you just move there? She said, yeah, it sat vacant for like 20 years. It's an old farmhouse. I said, there you go.
Yep.
So I said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to set boundaries with them. You're not going to tell them they're leaving.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I said, but just try to set the boundaries.
Yeah.
Best thing is lights. Cheap little sensor lights. Start off there.
Yes.
And if that doesn't work, then,
you take other steps.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's steps that you can take that are nonviolent, that just, they have to respect you. You have to respect them. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
We've been doing this long enough. If you don't want them to bother you, just put trail cameras up there.
They'll go away.
Yeah, they'll go away.
Yeah, put a trail camera up. They won't come up near your house. You won't hear them jumping on your roof. Put a camera out there.
Might get a blurry something, but it won't come bother.
But I've had no more banging on my windows, so.
Yeah. Yep, I know. Now, Steve, can you tell us about your first sighting?
So, like, I've been in the woods ever since I was little, hunter, all that. I don't do any of that anymore. But so when we came down here and she started, she said, I saw this monkey. So, of course, we go out. Look, we can't find anything. Then we're seeing big, tall, black, a guy wearing all black in the yard.
That's what I kept saying.
Sneaking up on
a big guy wearing all black.
So, you know me, I'm putting my light on. I'm going out here now. I'm going through the woods looking for this trespasser, so we think.
Yeah.
So, nothing's going on. Meanwhile, we just took over the farm. We're trying to take the field back. We were putting dog trails in, or should I say I was. So, I was cutting a bunch of trees and stuff out so I could get the original road back in so we would have our trails. So I'm on my lawnmower and I'm out cutting a section of this row so we can get the trail back in. And when I came around the bend, I saw this brown colored thing run down along the hedgerow on the honeysuckle. And I'm in work mode, so I'm not really thinking about it too much. And I'm looking, so later in the day, I'm going, that thing was on two legs. And we don't have any bear in South Jersey. Definitely not brown bear.
Yeah. No.
And all I can remember is it standing up, going down the line and doing the arm pump as it was going. And I said, I really think I saw a Bigfoot because it was getting later in the day. And of course, I came around the bend about 40 miles an hour like a crazy man on the mower. And when I come around the corner, it took off running. But it stood up and got on two legs and went down the wood line. And I saw it. And at the time, I didn't really put much mind to it. And then later, after I was done doing what I wanted to get done, because of course, it's getting late, I'm going, you know what? I says, we don't have any bear. I said, I don't know what that was I saw. And then, now that I think about it, And we've had so many other occasions when we first went to the red headlights, because we always take the dogs out
Yeah,
at
the
night. We always
headlamps.
take the trails.
Yeah.
So when we, after we started doing some things, we went with all red. Now we go pitch dark because if everybody will say eye shine, and I'll correct everybody on here. It is
eye glow.
It is eye glow.
Yeah.
If you go and you sit in the pitch dark, and the reason that I like doing it is they can't sneak up on me.
Nope.
I can see them coming.
Yep.
Unless, well, yeah. Go with that.
Yeah, because your eyes get used to the light.
Their eyes.
You can tell.
Well, we know what echolitzen.
They'll light up.
We saw them.
Yeah.
Their eyes glowing, like the pictures that I have.
So when we first got the headlights and we came around the corner, now I had the red light.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one standing behind this thistle.
Yeah.
And he looked at me. I looked at him. We locked eyes. It felt like 2-3 minutes.
It was a bit because you said to me, "Oh my, look, we have one right in front of us."
And all of a sudden, it was like he realized. He went, "Oh crap!"
I don't think he thought we could see him.
And it was just he just did the
No,
shoulder
I'm
roll.
serious.
He just did the shoulder roll, and off he went. And I'm saying he. I don't know if it was her.
Yeah, we couldn't see down there.
He didn't share his name with me.
Yeah. But the trail kind of loops around, and we were coming up where it bends, and when it bends, part of the trail goes deep into the woods, like it cuts off, like it stops. So there's like a little gully back there, and we used to, it's like the gifting, like we put stones out and stuff like that. So we come around that bend, and he stopped dead. So I stopped, and I thought, it's all going to bed. Like I didn't know what was going on, and he's now waving me, going, "Come here, come here. We got one right in front of us." I said, "What?" And he goes, "We have one right where he's just standing here." So I come up peeking over his shoulder. He's standing behind like a little, like just twigs. And I'm like, why does he really think we can't see him behind a twig?
Apparently he did for a little while.
We just stood staring at him.
They're funny.
And it was, you could almost see when the light bulb went off. He was like, wait a minute, I think they can see me. So I don't know. Can they not see the red light? I don't know. That's the one and only time that's ever happened. So I have nothing to say. Oh no, this has happened repeatedly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was when we got that bluff charge with the lights that night when we were out there.
Yeah, but I mean one just standing there and we have the light on it. Like
like I said, I can't speak for everybody.
Well, that's not true because that actually happened to us in Salt Fork. I had my light on that one, and it just stood there.
We have had multiple face-to-face interactions where they've come in that close.
Yeah.
You can, and I mean, knock on wood to this day, we are in the woods constantly. We hike average 25-30 miles a weekend in research areas that we just repeatedly go and just pound. That's because good. We basically we want to know.
Yeah.
And we haven't been attacked. We haven't been, kidnapped. Nobody will take her. They keep bringing her back.
They don't want me. They don't want me.
So from our standpoint on it, we just don't see the aggression that a lot of people are putting out that they say if a rock's thrown at you, if a stick's thrown at you, that's really not an attack. That is a defense mechanism for them to try to get you to leave.
Well, they have a family too that they're protecting. And we're in their yard when we're out there.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I say. I tell everyone, it's okay. I'm trespassing, in their area. They're protecting their babies, or else I'm entering into their hunting area. You just back off.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
Well, we learned that it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
Because we met a woman, God bless her, the poor thing. She really was like, you could see that she was just mentally distraught. And she kept using the word, I was attacked. I now have PTSD. I was attacked.
Yeah.
But she didn't give the story. So later on, we got her alone, Steve and I, and we sat down with her. And we said, if it's too upsetting, we understand. But we're just curious, if you want to, what had happened. They had been doing calls joking around. Were whooping. Her and her family, they were camping. They were tent camping. They did some whoops. Well, they got in their tents that night, and little pebbles were being flown at the tent.
Yeah.
That was it. So I'm looking at him. What do you say? I'm not going to be rude.
We're like, that's a good night for us. That's what we wanted.
You know, I tried to say to her, okay, I need you to think about something. I said, I know there's horror movies, and I know you'll see things online that they're meat-eating beasts ripping humans apart.
Yeah.
I said, but maybe you set out calls. They have kids, teenagers. I said, and they started throwing stones at your tent. I said, did they pull on your tent? Well, no. Did they crush your tent? Well, no. I said, they were just reciprocating the conversation you started.
Yep.
So I said, sometimes the fear that we've got in our head makes the story.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and we've seen that online a lot, but it's for likes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on. Let's not do that.
I tell everybody when we go out on night hikes, I just always take somebody slower than me, and then I don't worry about it.
That's my sister.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, we don't know, but look how many of us have been doing this for years.
Yeah.
And we're all here to tell the story.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
that's so true. And you just have to think of, from the Bigfoot perspective. And like you were saying, it's a lot of times it's the kids. Think on a human level, it's just like kids running up on your porch and ringing the doorbell and running away.
Yeah.
We are their entertainment.
Yeah.
Right. It's just bored kids.
Yeah. They really are. We've seen, it almost feels like sometimes like the juveniles are like, on SNL when they do Stewart, where he's like, Mom, look what I can do. I feel like the juveniles sometimes do that. Like, look how strong I am. And there are trees going like this. It starts to crack.
Yep.
And that's what happened when we were with Levon. We went down this trail and it came to the lake. And there were some deep footprints right at the lake. So, see, I was like, we're casting these. So he started getting the casting material. I'm digging out, recorder, whatever. Wow, Levon sees. So I come over. Well, she's looking, and then I see another one off to the left. Well, then the one she's looking at turned, and you could see one behind that one. So it was like a family, I guess, having like a swim fest. Or they were, couldn't tell you. We couldn't see them well enough to really gauge. Well, I couldn't. I couldn't see them well enough to gauge the height or whatnot. But now I'm digging out trying to set the recorder, and I hear a tree start to crack. It's shaking, like you can hear it shaking, and then I start to hear the crack. Well, I'm yelling at Levon. Levon, because I wanted her to back up because she was down. I see you, she's talking to she's having this, grade A sighting right now, and she's in the moment. So I'm yelling at her. I knew that by the time I got over this bench to get to her, all I could think was, my God, this tree's coming down on her. So I grabbed her. She looked at me. So I'm like, Levon. She goes, what? And I'm like, did you not hear that tree? What tree? So him and I are looking at each other like, you did not hear the tree? She was so... She said that like her ears and everything, like I guess just the energy of the moment, she was like wah wah. She wasn't hearing anything.
Yeah. Levon was on here a couple weeks ago, and I remember her telling her side of that.
That was crazy. It was crazy. So yeah, that was the only problem with that trail, and we don't normally like to do this to ourselves. It's happened a couple times.
Yeah.
There's no way out.
You only have
It's one way in. There's no trail that's going to take you elsewhere.
Right.
It's all forest and one path in. So you either are swimming for it. So sometimes I'm a little hesitant Well, we didn't know that. I mean, we didn't know it
No,
until we
because
took the trail.
We basically it rained most of that trip when we were there, and we
Yeah.
finally got a little bit of sunlight, and then of course it started raining anyway once we got out. But it was just one of those. As we drove past it 4 or 5 times, it was just one of those trails that just, you know how it is. It just had that draw of,
Yes.
this looks like, it would be a great spot.
Yeah,
It looks like it has a ton of cover. We've never gone down this one. Let's go see where this goes, because that's how we do most of it.
Oh yeah.
Especially when we come out there, because we don't get to go out there very often. But it was one of those areas that just had that draw. And the more that we do it, and the more that everybody else does it, you'll know the spots that, like,
Yeah.
if I was going to go hide in the woods, this is where I'm going to go hide.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
And
you recognize them.
you recognize real quick.
Yeah.
So it was good that we stayed and took that little bit of an extra walk there.
Yeah, it was worth it.
And
For sure.
we did get some good tracks, and we got some.
Yeah, we got a good
some,
print.
some
Good deep.
visual.
Took so much casting material though, because the print was this deep in the,
Wow.
and it was rock. I mean, it wasn't. We're not talking mud.
Mm-hmm.
Right there at the beginning of the lake, it was that stone. Like you guys get. Sorry, I'm from New Jersey, so I don't have this kind of stuff.
Keystone. It was all
That
Keystone.
that like reddish color stone. Like
Yes.
slate, I guess. Well, it was that, chopped up going into the water. And it was this deep.
Wow.
So he's like, this
Wow.
is going to take a lot of material. I said, well, just, do what you can. At least we have it. I do prints for me.
Now, getting into prints, can you share about what you found? Do you remember that Heritage Festival?
Yes.
And
Yes.
the mix up with the little boy?
Yes. That was, oh God.
The one
that
when
was
you
so
the
funny.
one when you were in there with all your visitors at night, you didn't even know
Yeah.
we're out there visiting you.
Yep. Yep.
God, you're the one that found that one.
Yeah.
So anybody that knows me, I get bored very easily.
Yeah. He's a wanderer.
So I like to wander off and observe. I do a lot of tracking, and I'm getting pretty good at finding things in the woods, we'll say. So when we came out to that and everybody was having their conversations, I just decided to take a walk. So I went up the side of, we'll say mountain. I guess it's not really mountain,
Hill,
but
whatever.
ridge. So I went up the ridge line towards, there was a little pine forest there that
Yeah.
I thought may be interesting. I wanted to go walk through it.
It
And
was.
there was a hedgerow that actually looked out towards where Mary had her van set up for her camp for the night. And when I came in behind that hedgerow, we actually found a print. I don't remember the exact dimensions in there.
Yeah, I don't remember now. I would have to look at my notes.
And there was
Yeah.
more than one. There was two
There was
prints.
quite a few prints in there.
One was a good castable print.
Yeah.
So because we had people there that we wanted to do casting demonstration for anyway,
Yeah.
so we casted the print. And Mary's friend that she had with her for the day that we didn't know, it was a young lad that joined us that we assumed was TJ's son, because
I had no idea who this child was.
We had this young lad that was very interested in the Bigfoot array, and
Oh, he was a great kid,
he
man.
wanted to see the casting. And
Mhm.
me being who I am, we casted this print and we lifted it and we gave it to that boy, and that was the last we saw
Saw
of him
of
as he kidnapped our footprint and disappeared into the woods.
and he didn't belong to any of us. The kid's like, I got my print. I'm out.
Yep.
But
He
that-
was so intelligent, just asking all kinds of questions. And
Absolutely.
Very inquisitive. That's
Yeah.
what we like. We
Yeah.
ask questions, and you
Yeah.
know what? We don't have the answers.
No.
But not all of them anyway, but
No.
we'll try to help anybody that wants to.
But he's definitely a future Bigfoot researcher. That was that habituation we did for you.
yeah,
That young man, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
He's got it.
He
You know,
went out
like
with
some
us.
people just got it.
He actually went.
He was really good.
Dad didn't even come. He came out with us.
He
the-
went out
the
with us
second
all
night.
night.
And we were out pretty late when
Yeah.
we went up and did that, which was
oh, wow.
Yep. He loved it. So we showed him different things to look for and, how we debunk it. But yeah, man, he was, but when we were out, we had left for a little bit and had dinner and came back and did the night investigation. He came out with us. So when we started getting activity at night, he was like, "Did you hear that?" I sure did. So he's like, we're never out here at night. Not like that anyway. But yeah, that was a great experience. That was.
They're some of our favorite ones when you get to do
Yeah.
a private one on private property and you're one-on-one. You can really get a feel for what the person experienced. You can
everybody wants to be validated.
It's just so much easier to do those than it is to go into a group where you have 10 people telling you they saw Bigfoot by this tree.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can appreciate that. I'm not going to say that anybody didn't have anything that they say, because that's just not how we do it, but prove it to me.
Right.
Me to the tree.
Or every sound out there is Bigfoot.
Yes.
But no, they were so appreciative. Because when we said to them, look, this is the evidence we found on your property. This is what we got.
Mm-hmm.
I think they felt so validated, like, okay, we're not crazy.
Yeah.
Did see this, Mom, I did experience that. Okay, we're not nuts. Everybody wants to be validated. So when we were able to show them the different things, they were tickled pink. They were really, they were happy about it. So we said, if you have any problems, but there was no problem. Like there was no, eating the livestock or banging on the house. They were staying in the woods.
And they still reach out.
We still talk to them.
Good.
So,
that's good.
You want to know when we're coming back up?
Yeah. I said, don't tempt me. I'll be up there with a tent. Sleeping in your yard.
Yep.
But yeah,
Now,
that was a great family.
Levon is asking about the blue orb.
At Glitzen, the blue orb, that one?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've seen so many. So we were at Glitzen with quite a few investigators. And when we were taking that trail.
Right. The one that come up out of the water.
And there was one. And at first, some of the other investigators were like, that's where the road is. I'm like, that's not the road. That's the lake. There's no car in the lake. There's nothing there. And Levon and I watched it. I mean, this thing, and then was that the branch?
No,
that big branch came down?
That was when the deer come through us.
Huh?
That was when the deer crossed right in front of me when we were coming down pitch dark and almost ran me over after you guys saw
that's right. That's right. So anyway, Levon, she could feel something like touching her back.
Oh.
So she's like, I kept feeling like something touching me. And at the same time, her and I both saw this orb. And she's like, am I seeing things? I'm like, no. And it would get down to the ground. And then it looked like it would stand up. And then it would disappear and it would get in front of us. Like we'd walk further down the trail and then it would be down that way. And so now everybody's arguing, trying to figure out their placement as to what is over there. We're like, that's the lake. There's no road, no campground. That's the direction of the lake. So we went out the next day and sure enough, I'm like, all right, we're not crazy. That was in the direction of the lake. So, but yeah, we watched this blue orb for the longest time.
Wow.
But they thought it was cars driving.
Okay.
I said, it's not a car unless they're driving in the lake. And it wasn't a boat. I said, that's the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, boat has green and red.
But you know how it is. You get in the woods and you do sometimes at night, well, even during the day, you lose your sense of direction.
Yeah, you do.
So, because sometimes I even have to stop and think, okay, where am I in conjunction to everything?
Yeah.
So we were camping not last week and the weekend before. And when we got there Friday night, and I'm not going to say it was Bigfoot. I don't know what it was, but there was really strange things going on. And then Saturday night, we were sitting there and we had gotten some, now, mind you, this is our research area for the last 14 years. So we heard the normal whoops. There were some whistles going on, but then we saw the lights, the glowing lights. And so it looked like, almost like sparklers falling. And I've never seen that.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't know what that is. So him and I were watching. Well, anyway, the activity continued, and then we had taken the one dog. So I finally put her in. I'm like, it's cold. She's got to stay in. Well, she's whining. So she's in there. She's whining. So I go in. I'm like, you got to come down. So I go to bring her out. As I step out of the camper, something mimicked her whining. Directly in the woods, directly in front of me.
Huh.
Guttural though, but mimicked her whine. I stopped dead in my tracks. I said, "Did you hear that?" Yeah, kind of was a little freaky. So then it gets even weirder. The next morning I go out. Now there was nobody at the campground other than an older couple in one of the cabins. Other than that, it was completely empty in there. I go out the next Sunday morning. And I go to take her on the trail that was like right behind our camper. Now we had been back and forth, up and down that trail 100 times the day before. Oh, that's right, because that's when we were looking for the footprints. We had gone out where we saw glowing lights to find footprints, and we did. We did actually find footprints. They measured some measurements on that.
That was
18 and a half by
18 and a half by 6 and a half.
By 9 and a half.
Maybe it was.
Yeah. Anyway, so I got to take her out, and there sits a ball right at our camper, a dog ball, right at our camper, right dead smack in the center of the trail.
A blue dog
A
ball.
blue dog ball.
So we know the preference of blue.
Yeah.
A certain friend of ours, and 3 owl feathers, which you don't usually find.
And 3 owl feathers with it.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying I found that a little weird that something mimicked her. And then we come out the next morning and there's a dog ball and owl feathers. I'm like, all right, this is weird. But like I said, we did find, it was a whole trackway. It was a bunch of prints out where we saw the lights and we measured them. But yeah, but that was it was a weird weekend. Like we got there Friday and we're sitting out at the fire and it sounded like something going through his toolbox, like just banging and clanking around. So I said,
it's always interesting when you go
So
somewhere.
weird.
Normally there's others out there, but when we say we were the only ones out there.
It's a weird feeling when you're the only ones out there.
I mean, I like it that way, but
yeah, I did too.
Yeah, same here.
And then I have to be honest with you. So we weren't under any tree fall. It rained pretty decent Friday night when we were there. And then it was in the 20s on Saturday night. So we brought the camper home. And Friday night I went in there. And all of a sudden there's water coming out of the roof in the back bedroom. I get up on the roof and there's a hole because it has one of those rubber style roofs on it. There's a hole up there that it's round. It could have been a stick, but it almost looks like something took a thumb and stuck it through the rubberized roof of the camp. And I didn't notice it when we got home. And then we got rain all week and I got some water in there.
Yeah, the whole bed was soaked.
So I had to make some modifications to that, but it was like, I don't know.
When we first got there, it was a bizarre night. He went and checked. I said, "What? It sounds like somebody's in your truck." So he jumped up. He walked around the other side. Nobody. We sat back down. A few minutes later, it starts again. I'm like, this is starting to get ridiculous. So then we're sitting there, and now it sounds like somebody's throwing a body around inside the camper. Like you just hear boom, 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 bang, 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 boom, 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 boom. She starts barking. Now she's sitting next to me. She's barking, looking at the camera. I said to him, okay, this is getting a little weird. So I went in, with holy water and started, praying and, doing my blessings and whatever. But
like you said earlier,
and then we get home and find a hole.
Almost sound like the teenagers running down the side of the camper, smacking
bizarre.
it and running.
Yeah.
We don't have any of them cool handprints that you guys have been.
Yeah, no handprints for us.
I'm a little jealous.
Not yet.
You guys have been getting a lot of them lately. I'm actually a little jealous.
That's cool.
Just keep your truck dusty.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep. They'll show up.
That's because we got the screens on there. But yeah, so then we found out that the hole on top of the camper.
Yeah.
I said, well, it sounded like somebody was throwing furniture around inside of it. Weird. It was. I got to tell you, when we first got there, it was getting a little unnerving.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there was nobody there. Nobody.
Yeah.
But the mimicking her, and I have it on audio. So the mimicking her, and it was so bizarre sounding. And then to come out to a dog ball sitting there with owl feathers was just. What do you say to that? I can't say it was Bigfoot, but.
Yeah. Now, have you looked up the significance of owl feathers in Native American?
Owls are very spiritual and
Yes.
usually mean wisdom.
Yes.
And new beginnings and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it was just, I'm like, you're not going to believe this. And I know it wasn't there. Like I said, we were in and out, back and forth 1,000 times all weekend. And that ball was not there. And there was nobody in the park.
Well, yeah, at least the feathers, they were a special gift, and the ball, a gift also, I guess. Yeah. Interesting.
I guess they thought, well, she's whining, so we'll go find her dog ball here somewhere.
And it's always blue. I don't know what it is with the fascination of blue.
Yeah, well, blue means friend.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I've left them the blue marbles and they didn't touch them.
Yeah, red.
They would take the other colored ones.
Yeah, there's red is dead, and blue is friend, and yellow is mellow.
Oh, yeah, because I bought like all the little different colored marbles, and they were hearts, and had put that all out. The only thing I noticed is they would put them in patterns. At first, in my audio, I could hear them playing with them, tap, tap, tap. And it would just go on for hours of listening to audio of tap, 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 tap. And then you'd hear them run away for a minute, come right back, tap, tap, tap. And I thought, can we play with something else? Okay, I'm taking the marbles away from them. I've had enough of them tapping it on the glass thing. But they would put them back exactly the way they were. And the only reason I knew they played with them was due to the audio. And then they would start putting them in patterns. So that was
and then we had that damn metal pail with the metal handle on it.
Yeah.
Hours of listening to the handle go
clink, 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 clink. Yeah. It was spring loaded.
Can you find a new toy, guys?
Yeah.
I can't listen to that anymore.
Yeah. So I'd listen to hours of clink, 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 and grunting and whatever. Which you hear like running away for a few minutes and then running back. And you would hear like talking or whatnot going on or whatever, however you want to put it. But yeah, clink, 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 clink. I said, oh man, hours of this. We got to give them something that doesn't clink. But then we wouldn't know they were there.
Well, that was the one night. I'm like, they must be building a house over there because they were out there and they were tapping. You could hear them tapping rocks. So we have like a stream bed that runs through one section of the property. And you could hear them over there, and something was tapping rocks for hours. So the next day, we went out during the day, and we found out here they were pulling the freshwater clams up out of the stream bed.
And I think breaking them open.
Breaking them. Something was.
Yeah.
Because we found all the shells, all the clams, of course, were eaten out of them. But something was out there pulling them out and breaking them. Now,
the shells, what did they do with the shells?
They were just laying there in a pile. But here's the weird thing. We don't have, it's a stream. There's no river rock.
Yeah.
They stole river rock from somewhere. Somebody's landscaping. I don't know where they stole the river rock, But there was this river. I'm like, where'd the river rock? And then we've had river rock gifted to us. Like I've had one placed on my step. I've had it. And the clams were like there, like they were breaking them open on the rock.
Yeah.
If it was them.
Like I said, now if we had otter or something like that, I've seen them do that because they, of course, they have, thumbs.
Right.
Yeah, opposable thumbs.
Raccoons will crack them in their teeth.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. Something was physically using a tool to open up these clams and eat it.
Yeah.
Now, was it a homeless guy? I don't know. I never saw him out there, but I can't say it was Bigfoot either because I didn't see him doing it.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where it was like hours of
it. And
I kept teasing her. I said, they're over there building a house. They're moving in with us. So it was always the joke.
Well, that was
now the clamshells, was there a tree nearby?
There's all trees out
there.
And
we don't have out there.
Were they positioned in a way where something would be sitting with its back against a tree?
Oh,
cracking the clams?
Yeah.
And had the clams like between its legs?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
What we find interesting when you say that, so a lot of our hikes that we've been on, so a lot of what we have down here is cedar pine. So there's a lot of areas, swampland that we go into where we have it. So what we find is the moss grows on the top of those when they're down. So what we'll find is spots where you can definitely see where they've sat because the moss has been ground off of the tree at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've made a chair so they could just put their back up against the other tree and sit and rest.
Yep.
And we find that a lot when we're out.
Yep. Yeah, they'll have piles of the clam shells or nuts or, and so
Oh, gosh.
Like they just collected a handful of them. And they're not right at the edge of the stream beds.
No.
They're a pretty good distance off. I would say, 20 feet or so, where it looks like they've just harvested them, took them back, put them down, and now we're going to sit and have a snack.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with the piles of nuts we've found and where the structures were. Remember we found that huge pile of nuts?
We have a very weird environment out here because we have bamboo also.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which they seem to, in the winter months, they tend to eat that bamboo leaf.
Okay, like the bears do, I guess, out in the Orient and so on. They'll pick the young bamboo and eat the shoots.
They say it has a lot of like liquid value to it, so they get a lot of their basic drink from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, bamboo retains water. They say if you're ever in the woods and you're dying of thirst, you can get water from the bamboo.
So we always have something at harvest out here that seems to might be what keeps them on the property, because we have wild strawberry, we have walnut, we have mulberry,
acorns, hazelnut.
Then we have the bamboo side of it. Then we have the freshwater clam. And we have these annoying frogs that are out there in the spring that just won't shut up.
Yeah,
the
we
peepers
have
that don't ever stop peeping.
Yeah, some of our frogs, they look like small cats.
So we have, like I said, if you're something living off the land, we do attract some weird. I'm pretty sure we have a Fisher cat out there now that we've seen.
We've seen the times. Fisher cat. These are loud.
Yeah.
When they scream, man, you better know it. You know it.
We'll go out at night, and you can always tell when it's going to be something because the raccoons are all up in the trees.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they nest in the treetops, whether there's something out there, like I said, that they're trying to hide from. I know it's natural for them to want to if they sleep, but they're not always up there. But sometimes you'll go out, and there'll be 5 or 6
it's like
of
they're
them
waiting.
Just hanging out in the treetop, like they're waiting for somebody else to get out of the woods so they can come back down and start looking for something to eat.
Well, we would watch them do that with us. As soon as we walked away, Mommy would come down with all her kids. All our kids. It's crazy. What's that say? I missed it. Is it a winter only? You have the perfect habitat. Yeah, while living in well, normally we don't get snow. Yeah, but now we're getting all the snow. We didn't have snow for what, 3 years?
Yeah.
We had no snow.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, when you would see arches, I said, well, we can't say it's snow load because we haven't had any in 3 years down here, in South Jersey. And we do now. We did this year.
And we did find them active because he was asking about the winter. It was the winter, and it was a cold winter, but we didn't really get the snow, and there was a lot of activity. We did find tracks in that bamboo.
Mm-hmm.
Following year, it's like every 3 years we get the sparrow that want to like hang out here, and there'll be 50 of them in one tree. Well, they went in and decimated the bamboo.
Yeah,
the 1 year with all their feces.
Oh.
And then we didn't really. It's like they didn't want nothing to do with it at that point because, of course, who wants to eat that?
Yeah. So we started finding. So in the audio, all you would hear, like a noise, a bird scream, and then silence. And then you would hear a bird start, and you would hear it, like it flapping, like freaking out, and then silence. You would hear like heavy footfall. And in my mind, I'm like, we'd go out in the morning, there would just be dead birds.
They would just take them and like pop their head and drop them. So we know it wasn't raccoon.
Wasn't something to eat.
It wasn't the owl.
Yeah, they were just like, you're making me angry.
Something was snatching them out of the air.
Shut up. Yeah. Get out of my bamboo. Shut up. But yeah, that was one whole year. I'm like, oh, these birds.
Oh my.
We get into the I get my pines mixed up. The cedar. They get into the cedar between the bamboo and them all crowding in like the cedar pine or spruce or whatever the heck it was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we found all our cedar trees are ripped right out of the ground. Just uprooted. All just that tree, just that type of tree. If it's not ripped up and just kind of moved, the branches are all twisted off and broke.
Yeah.
Like all the way down. So I said to him, I was joking around. I said, they're sick of the birds. They're just going to rip all those trees out. They're like, nope, no birds this year. We're just going to rip all the new ones out. So I have a bunch of them just ripped right out of the ground.
Yeah, that's possible. Wow.
Pulled out and moved.
Yeah, Todd asks, do you have any gray squirrels or have you noticed a decline?
We do have our pain in the butt.
We have a pretty ample amount of gray squirrels.
Yeah.
So we do have a lot of them. They really don't seem to be affected. Unfortunately, the way that our property is set up, it's kind of like a safe haven for them because, she won't let me go out there and shoot anything anymore. So I'm, pretty much they're safe. If they get on here, and she tells them that you're safe here, you don't have to worry about it. And I honestly believe that because we have every critter known to man that I haven't seen anywhere else
comes to our door.
Ends up being out in the yard. Like I said,
there must be plenty of other game around that they don't need to eat the squirrels because
we've got it all. Wild turkey, deer, all here. Or by the lake.
I mean, that's why we go everywhere that we try to, because here it's almost like their diet is vegetarian.
Yeah.
We don't.
It does.
Anything that we find
it's weird
dead out there that we feel that maybe they did, like talking about the squirrels, they would bury all their nuts in her flower garden, and in the spring they go back and they dig them all up
and then ruin all the plants.
So some num decided to tell her, the people of the woods, she said, "Boy, I wish them squirrels would stop digging up my garden." And we went away and we came home and we had 3 dead squirrels propped up
6
out.
6 dead squirrels.
I wasn't going to make it sound as bad as it was. So we had a whole tribe of dead squirrels waiting for us when we returned.
Yeah.
Something laid out for us. They killed 6 squirrels and put them all out so they would stop digging in somebody's garden.
Yeah.
So we now watch what we say because
they take it literal.
They're listening.
They took it literal. I was at the Eden and I'm like, I wish these squirrels would stop burying their nuts in my flower bed. They're killing all my plants. When we went camping that weekend, and my son called and he says, you better watch what you say out there with your monkey people. I said, stop calling them monkey people. I said, why? And he goes, well, so we have stumps that he kind of made. It looks like a living wall. There was trees that had fallen down in a storm. So we just kind of put them down the trail. They were lined up, just laid out dead. So when I got back, I'm out there. I'm like, I didn't mean I wanted them dead. I just meant I wanted them out of the. So I joked. I said, do you really think that they, whatever? We kind of let it go. Like me, who knows? But it was sometime after that I made the comment because our neighbors are a little, So I said, we're going away. You guys know, nobody belongs on this property but us and you and who we invite. I said, they don't belong over here. Jokingly, I'm saying this. Now, we left. We went camping. We get home. The neighbor yells from her door. She peeks her head out the back door, and she's yelling for us. So we go, we're like, what's the problem? She's like, you guys need to call animal control. You must have a bear. We don't have, we're in South Jersey. There hasn't been a bear sighting other than that fire in like 20 years. So she's like, you have to call. And then she goes, I wasn't in your yard or anything. I was just walking by, is what she says.
Oh.
It's something guttural let out this scream at her, scared her so bad that to this day she will not go outside in her backyard by herself. She sits out front of her house. She will not go out back. And she won't come on my property. And I thought, well, that'll teach you.
Mm-hmm.
We're standing there and I'm thinking, well, first of all, you wouldn't call animal control, but okay. You need to call animal control. She goes, when I tell you this thing just, she's like, I've never heard anything like that. She goes, I ran so fast and locked the door. Him and I are looking at each other, snickering. So we never,
He wants to know about if we have any pointing directionals.
we do. We do. But you know what? I've tried to follow that. Whether it's pointing to water, whether it's pointing to, what is it pointing to? Remember, we tried following that.
We've
directionals.
We've done the X's, we've done the arches, and in the end of it, we haven't really come up with anything.
Yeah,
definite.
Like it seemed coincidental.
Yeah.
When we tried following it.
I think it's just OCD of them just wanting to play with something.
Well, I don't know about that. Honestly, I think that it's stuff they see from above.
It's possible. I know other people had said it could be pointing at a human's house.
Right.
That they find interesting.
Yeah.
Or it could point at a food cache where they have food buried or water or God knows what.
Yeah.
She's talking about the snake, something eating.
Oh, okay.
She said about don't worry about the snake. And she said right after that, they heard the tree break. Yeah, they listen.
Yeah.
That is for sure. So I said best
home security you can have.
Yeah.
As long as, like I said, you just have to watch what you say because they don't
take it literal.
Yeah, they take it very literal.
They do.
Certain things, comments that we've made out there, and poofed. It only takes a few days for them to, like the little genie. You rub the lamp and your wish comes true. So you have to watch what you wish for sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they are always listening.
Yeah.
Whether they can understand us, I'm not sure. Or because we know we can't always understand what they're saying.
No.
But there's got to be some barrier of understanding that they have with us.
Yeah. But we let them, we didn't make a spectacle. We don't have people come, I'm very strict about that. Like, no, my house is not your circus. And
That's the best way to do it.
More respect between us and them.
Yeah.
So they do what they can, to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Don't bother us. We don't bother them.
That's the best way to keep it. Just
live and let live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep your habituation, your home to yourself, and
Yep. They know, like, oh yeah, I'm coming out with the dogs,
So
and
we'll share our Vermont story with Bigfoot New York because he's into the squirrel stories from what he's asking here. So we went up to Moon's Pond, which is up in Vermont, because we went up to Whitehall for the festival. So we did some investigations up there. So we were out and we found a trail that we felt was a big boy trail. And we started finding these mushrooms hanging in the trees.
this was a
at
live
like
and learn moment.
8 feet up, all down this line of what was a trackway that we had started
And they were
following.
huge.
So we started looking into that, and we're thinking, wow, he's pulling these mushrooms out and putting them up. So, he.
That's what we thought.
So here in Vermont, they have these little guys that are red-tailed squirrels.
Yeah.
And they harvest all the mushrooms and they hang them to dry them so they can eat them.
Yep. And then they shred them and put them in their little nest. But they put them in the trees, hang them in, and they're huge. They hang them in the trees to dry them out. And then they shred them and can store them for the winter. We didn't know that. We're thinking, because we had activity the night before. The following morning we were down in there looking for footprints.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while we were down there, us and the researchers we were with, we noticed this. Well, we're all freaking out, like, the only thing that tall is a Bigfoot. We don't, because they were tucked meticulously in pieces of. And then a gentleman, I had posted it in Habit, and a gentleman said, no, honey, that's what the red. So he told me, and I looked it up, and I said, see, always do your research.
Yes.
It's not always Bigfoot. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. But I went back and, made a correction. But, yeah, that kind of, when you saw how they meticulously put them to hang them to dry, it was fascinating.
That would be. Yeah, animal behavior, it's different among the different species, even among the same, all the different squirrels, but then they all react in different ways. Wow, it's fascinating.
Yeah, it really was. I'm like, wow, I learned something today.
Yeah.
But who would have thought that? That was great.
Yeah, we're always open to learn too.
Yeah.
You have to. You really do.
Yeah. Just like when you hear a new vocal in the woods, I always come back and try to find an animal that would make sense.
Right.
And sometimes
you have to figure out what
you can always tell though, because they usually fail badly at their mimics.
Well, not all the time, but they have this certain tone to them. I don't care what they're mimicking. They just have, I don't even know how to describe it to me. They just have this like bugly tone to whatever they're doing, other than making mechanical sounds. That's different. Yeah, that was a little weird, but yeah. So
Bigfoot New York Todd, he said that at one point in time, I remember in a research area that he and I and a couple other guys go to, the Bigfoot there, well, if it was the Bigfoot doing it, it put off the sound. If you've ever seen the Predator movie, that sound that the Predator makes,
that clicking.
Yes.
That's another thing I looked into. So there's two tribes, the Aborigines. There's only two tribes that do that click language. You should listen to it. Listen to it and think back to the times you've heard that clicking. I gotta tell you, it kind of blew me away. So I was listening to one girl, she was trying to teach you. But yeah, they speak in that mouth pop, clicking. Yeah. I found it completely fascinating. Yeah, there's only two tribes that speak click language.
Mm-hmm.
From the, it originated from the Aborigines.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm listening to it. The sounds they make with their mouths, you would never. And I said to him, just like we're all saying, they're not pounding on a tree with a stick. Right. We all think that they're doing that with their mouth and breath. When you hear these tribes do this click language, you're like, wow. It can be done. If a human can do it, imagine something with a lung capacity like the Bigfoot.
Right.
So yeah, it's like there's just so many fascinating things that paths that I've been led down that sometimes I have to stop myself because I've spun myself around and got myself confused.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get into quantum physics.
I tried. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is way over my head.
Yeah.
I'll just look at things. I don't need to
Show
understand
me the
it.
pretty pictures. Where's
Yeah,
the pretty
show me
pictures?
the pretty pictures.
Yes.
But I was just trying to understand things that, I've
Yeah.
seen and see and encounter and just trying to understand it. So between digging deep into the Bible and digging into quantum physics, and I've just confused myself more.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yep, I'm going to have to back off from that. That's too much for my brain to handle. So, Shelly and Stephen.
Yes, Levon, that is true.
Yeah.
For anybody out there, it's patience.
Yes.
You're not going to run into the woods. You're not going to have the encounter. If you go out there with that intention, you more than likely will be empty-handed. You
Yeah.
have to spend the time,
Yeah.
gain the trust, and you will get more activity the more
Yeah.
patient you are. You're not going to go out there and you're not going to entice them to come in and play with you. We'll just put it that way. It's just the understanding you need to give them their boundaries, and they need to understand that you're not there to
Yeah.
harm them.
Well, that's
And-
if you want it long term.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want that long term information. As I said, we all go do our short investigations. I mean, we can't stay there and, or we go out of state. But if you want to learn about the Bigfoot for yourself, find a spot that you think is active and make it your own. Spend as much time in there and document, and record and record and record.
Yeah.
And it just takes patience with them.
Yeah.
Even when
It
you
takes
think
years.
years. So I said, we've been 15 years now with them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that I'm aware of what happened as a child, but I mean, acknowledging them. It's been that long. So, and it was, I mean, we would take 2 steps forward, kind of screw up, I guess, and maybe they pulled back from us. And it was like starting all over with them. I mean, there was a period of time where they just silent on me, kind of like mad at you. You brought somebody here we didn't like. So, and I begged for forgiveness. Yeah. It was, you can. I know people think that's crazy. They're like, oh, that's bull.
So
I'm like, have you tried it?
So Todd's asking. So we start every investigation pretty much the same way. On our first day, afternoon, after we get set up, we'll go spend a little time out there just walking around so that we can be recognized or noticed, and then that's it. We let that be.
Yeah. We'll do a few low whoops, but we don't go nutty.
And it's just one of those where we've kind of found a platform that works when we go and get out there to get them interested. We want them to come interact with us. We don't want to chase them through the woods. We're not, trying to provoke them. I mean, we'll do provocations and we'll make some sounds, and there's some clicks and some other things that we've heard that we try to.
We don't knock though, unless it's
a knock is usually the end of the night. That kind of says you're going home from what we've experienced. Now, it may work for other people, other places. For us, we just, once you knock, it's your night.
It's kind of like they're telling each other. It's their way of telling each other somebody's out here, there's a human or a location. Yeah. So we try not to knock. We have seen that. Look, how many times have you guys been watching a show where there's activity? They knock and their activity is completely done for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So you get to the point where you're like, stop knocking. It's a warning.
Yeah.
We don't even bother here. They know it's us. Why would we knock? But no, we kind of, if we go somewhere, then we get there during the day, we'll take a walk around. We might do some whoops just to let them know that we're kind of interested. If they want to kind of come, check us out at our campsite. But we don't really go overboard. If we're out and like the night's been completely dead and we have other people with us, if we're leaving and we're calling it a night, then we might go for it just to try to get a response so other people get that experience. But other than that, we don't go crazy with them. We just kind of let them know that we're a little bit interested in them.
The group thing is, I mean, it's great to meet the other people and to try to take them out and try to give them a little bit of the insight of what we experience. But it's totally different when you go into your research area and you start collecting.
What? No, get it out. Oh, I got a bug in my hair.
Uh-oh.
Get it out.
So when we go out with the group, it's always great to have them experience something that they haven't.
Yeah.
Whether you win them over with it or not, it's always our goal to try to have the experience. Whether we're going to have it every time we go out, there's no guarantees in life on anything. We know that. But for us, when we do the group things and we go out like that, we do try to we can't say provoke, but we do try to draw in, even if we just get somebody to see the eye glow, which is a big success that we can usually get a lot of times, something where they never understood that. They're always saying the eye shine, the eye shine. The eye shine is an animal. It's a deer. It's a raccoon. It's this. If you hit it with a light and it lights up, eye shine. That's going to be something other than what we're looking for. When you see the eye glow, and if you've never seen it and you've never experienced it, it's going to be something that's a little mind changing, because it's almost like somebody with a flashlight putting it on you. So it's just, those are the things that we try to do when we go out, because we like being around everybody else and we like being a group, but it's totally different than your regular investigations when you're putting the time in there. Like I said, most people won't go sit for 2 or 3 hours in the pitch dark with me in the woods and sit there and just listen, because they want that quick. They want to hear the whoop. They want to hear the knock. They want to hear the crack. They want to hear. They want to. I've already heard all those things.
I want to hear them.
Right. I mean, we do enjoy hearing that, but there's so much more that we want to learn and try to figure out that.
You okay?
It was a stink bug. So my son's standing behind the laptop and he's doing charades. And it looked like he was saying something, Mike. And I'm going, he's going, you have a stink bug in your hair. I'm like, what? He's like, there's a stink bug in your hair.
Oh, no.
Things are
hate those things.
And these other things that look like lightning bugs, but they're red and black.
Box elder bugs.
What are they called?
Box elder.
Box elder bugs. We get them bad here. They're a pain in the butt. It's like Florida when they get the June bugs.
Oh, my. Oh,
they're annoying.
She's itching now. You got her.
Sorry, but they drive me crazy. And then because we have farms all around us,
yeah,
the Asian beetles constantly, especially if he's doing cabbage across the street. I'm like,
yep,
the beetles.
So he wants to know about the eye glow.
About what about it?
Yeah, he just says, tell us more about eye glow.
What we've experienced, like I said, everything that we share is from an experience.
Yeah.
It may not happen to everybody. It's what we've experienced, what we've seen.
But we've taken many people out and proved it.
And we have shown multiple people, and we have other researchers that can contest. Mm-hmm. What we have found is in the pitch dark, you will have eyeballs that will light up. Whether they're translucent, whether they're
bioluminescent,
however it's capable, whether they're picking up the moonlight or the starlight, their eyes will glow.
Mm-hmm. And different colors.
It's different than eye shine.
Yeah.
You may have them come with a white eye and then switch to red, depending on
Well, what we found
you've done.
is, and I don't know if this is coincidence, but this has been everywhere we've gone, no matter what state or where, we've always found when the red eye glow shows up, that's the alpha male to the troop. So we took, when we were in Ohio, we took that group out and we were telling them, and they're like, oh, I never really saw that. And I said, I bet you have. We are so oblivious. Like, I really look back and think, wow, I was so oblivious for so many years because we always want to make sense of things. Like, oh, it's probably a deer. Oh, it's probably, a light on a house or a light on a car. And when we were at Salt Fork for that one camp out that we attended with you, and we took that group out and we were telling them, sure enough, they showed up and they watched these things drop down to the ground. And then the red eye glow showed up and he stood like 9 foot. And everybody's like, I can't believe it. I never really paid attention to this before. And I said, well, anywhere we've been, it seems like when the red eye glow shows up, that seems to be an alpha male.
Yeah.
Do I know that as a fact? No, but that's just the way that it has seemed to be.
That's the impression. Yeah.
And
the white or the
fun
yellow.
Time's over. Dad said we got to go.
Yeah, Dad said we got to go. But the white or yellow glow, if you talk to them, if you stop and you start talking like you would to an animal or a child, somebody you love, like in a caring manner, if you start talking, they get brighter and brighter and brighter. And when you stop talking, they dim to almost out. So how they control that, is it emotional? Is it a mechanism that they can turn on and off? Like my daughter, who is like, she was out with me one night and they showed up. And I said, talk to them. And she started talking to them. And sure enough, like she's like, are they going to come out into the row? I said, no, they're going to stay right on the tree line. I said, but keep talking to them. And it was like a flashlight. And it just got brighter and brighter. I said, now stop talking. And it just down to, when we first discovered that was the craziest thing I ever seen in my life. Because I kept saying, what is that? So we've taken many researchers out since then. And they're like, I just never paid attention to that. We hadn't seen the one male that we call grunt here. And again, I don't do that because I think they're my pets or my pals.
Yeah.
When I'm listening to audio, I just gave them names due to their vocal tone, just because it's easier when I'm going back over my notes. Yeah. So we call him Grunt because his nose is smashed and he breathes like he sounds horrible, the poor guy. I want to give him oxygen. So we call him Grunt. We hadn't seen or heard from him in a while, but we saw the other two. And they were females. And he always lets me go first because they'll interact with me more than they will him. So I'm 20 in front of you, maybe?
I don't know why they're so afraid of me.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not that big a guy.
I'm pretty far ahead of him. And I turned to him and I said, that's really weird. Now we're in, it's pretty thick. Like the path that we made is thin. I turned to him and I said, it's really weird. We haven't seen Grunt in a while. His eyes, meaning seeing his eyes. It's not like we see them all the time. They don't just come out and go, here we are. I said, we haven't seen him or heard him in a while. And no sooner did the words pass my lips, I look in the thistle next to Steve, and there's these red glowing eyes light up. And he just stood. I'm like, Steve. He goes, yeah. I said, he's standing next to you. He's literally within arm's reach of you. So now we've caught that. Now I started paying attention to that. So I tell everybody, you may not see them, or let's say you do. I will guarantee you that the male of that troop, the alpha male, is the closest to you, even though you didn't hear him and you didn't see him. I think they get right up on us like, all right, I'll let you do your thing. But you do anything squirrely to my family, I'm within arm's reach.
Yep.
Because I've seen
it real quick.
Yep. I've seen it with him over and over again. And I'm like, Steve, he's literally in the thistle on the other side of that from you.
Yeah, they even though you're not doing anything threatening, Steve, you're still
the male.
A male.
Yep.
and therefore you are threatening.
Yeah.
I always
Whereas,
send her 20, 25 feet ahead.
He does.
Right. And
yep.
it's good bait, I guess.
Yeah. He figures he's getting my life insurance. He keeps hoping. They don't want me. They're like,
But that's what I said. We go out now, and basically, I would rather be pitch dark in the dark because they can't sneak up on me.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's easier for me to locate where
well,
they
that's
are.
if they're lit. If they have them.
They're always lit around me. They don't like me.
Yeah, that's true.
But
That's true.
I'm not here to make friends.
Yeah. It's definitely things that we don't understand. I'm like, are they bioluminescent? Like, how does that work? Or is it just something that we're not evolved enough to understand? I don't know, but I've seen it over and over and over again. I've taken people out. They've seen it. When we were at Glitzen with you that night, what was that gentleman's name? So nice. So they kept telling us when us girls were seeing it, Tara, Julie, myself, when we were seeing those different color eyes glowing.
Yeah.
And some had gone to bed. And the men folk were trying to tell us it's a hose, it's a reflection from a truck. And us girls, we were like, no, it is not. We have seen them go up and down, move right to left, congregate, separate. Well, you know, and then they split, and that one come running right through the campsite, right through the back of our campsite.
Yes. Yeah.
That one gentleman, he come over and he apologized to us gals. He said, I'm so sorry. He said, I know that we kept arguing with you girls saying that it was a reflection from a truck. He goes, I never in a million years thought that I would ever see that, let alone encounter it. You girls were right, and I apologize. And I said, it's okay. I said, all the rest of the men were arguing with us too. It wasn't just you.
Right. Now, was he camped below you, like the next side?
I think his name was Eric.
Okay. Yeah, because I
Very
know.
nice.
They weren't
Very nice. Very nice guy.
Yeah.
I almost think the composition of whatever chemical like the firefly has, so
Right.
they can illuminate, same
Maybe it's like that. I don't know.
chemical makeup. Because firefly, when it gets, that's why they flash.
They
get
do that to
bright,
me.
and they
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I can't figure that one
maybe
out.
they're just flashing their pretty little eyes at you. They're trying to get you.
I don't know. I can't figure out. That one's above my head.
Yeah, it looks like Todd wants to get in touch with you, and so if you guys want to, I'll send you Todd's phone number.
Okay.
And I'll just leave it, put it out there.
Yeah, and we're on Facebook too, Todd. We're it's a habituation and Bigfoot investigation team. So we're a closed group too. We're small and closed. Yeah. So we're there as well. So it was a nice chat tonight.
Oh, it was most definitely. Yeah. Let's see.
I'm trying to keep up with it all, but I can't see. They see the red flash.
Okay. Yeah, one of the guys' sites where he lives, they see that red flash there.
Yeah. My coolest experience, the first time I ever saw it and realized that it was them, I was a new investigator, and I was out with two other women that were seasoned investigators. And the men, they went elsewhere. And us three ladies were down. It's shaped kind of like a bowl. And then there's a ridge. And this is in New Jersey, in the Pine Barrens. And there's kind of like what we consider our ridge. It's nothing like your ridge. But you know what I mean? It was above us. We'll put it that way. Yeah. All, kind of around. So we're sitting there. And soon as the guys went off on their own, you could hear them kind of moving in on us. Now we have been there for like 4 days. We could hear them moving in. All of a sudden you see all these glowing eyes. but standing at like 8 feet.
Okay.
And then I know there was something behind me that was not happy. I could feel it in my chairs. We took our chairs out. We were sitting and just cackling, stomping its foot. Like I could feel my chair moving. So I'm sitting there because I'm new, and I'm looking at the other two ladies, and they're having no reaction at all. And I'm hearing this thing grumble, guttery, grumbly. And I'm like, do you guys hear that? Oh yeah, just ignore it. So I'm sitting there. I feel myself starting to melt into the chair. Like, oh, I don't know about this. And then the whole side of my face got soaked. I don't know what it was. I probably don't want to know what it was. But the whole, like something just, so I said to the one woman, I said, something just splashed me with a liquid in my face. I said, feel my face. And it was like dripping. And she goes, well, what is that? I'm like, I don't know, but do you hear this commotion going on behind me? Well, they were talking and looking on their FLIR, and, they were doing their own thing. They didn't really know me.
Yeah.
So I was crapping. That was the one time I will say, because like I said, I was new to that.
Yeah.
But I was a little crapping my pants a little bit. But then these eyes showed up. So the one girl, really pretty voice. She did like the most beautiful whoop in there. Wow, right back at her. For an hour and a half, she went back and forth with this thing. It had to be, we're thinking it was juveniles. So we even joked with her. We said, you have a date later on. I'm afraid maybe I do. Well, then the red glow showed up.
Oh, Daddy showed up.
Well, now you see them, and so in our minds, we're all like, wow, that really almost seems like Dad showed up and said, okay, you two, let's go, leave the humans alone. This thing, Mary, to this day, I've never heard anything like it. It let out the most mournful cry to her. Like mournful. Like its heart was breaking that it was being made to leave. So she would still set out the whoop, and you would hear, like, as they were leaving, like out in the distance, you would hear him try to, like, still yell to her. And then just this mournful howl went off. I'll never forget it. As long as I live, I would. But we joked with her for the longest time. We're like, you have a date. You're going to wake up tomorrow and have flowers at your tent. You better tell your husband to move over. And she goes, we really don't know what we're saying.
No, that's why you have to be so careful whenever you do calls or knocks.
But it was weird. Like its tone, you didn't need to understand it.
Yeah.
You got it. He really was mournful that Dad was making him leave. To this day, I've never experienced anything like that. That was the craziest night. An hour and a half. These two young ones went back and forth with her, back and forth, back and forth.
My. Wow, that would be something else to listen to. Wow.
That was insane. So then the guys came back and they left. They were,
They were done.
We set the ladies up as bait, and then we went out. we always have a good time because we have it's an old cranberry bog that has a real narrow, like walkway that goes out to the beaver dam that's out there. Always great at 2 a.m. when you go out because the beaver will slap their tail, and the people that don't know that it's coming. It's great to watch.
It scares the crap out of you, that's for sure.
All I can say is it sounds like somebody threw a body out of an airplane and it hit the water.
Yeah.
Because it's that loud.
Wow.
It is always a little bit of a fun experience when you go out there because it's coming. It's just a matter of when are they going to do it. But the people that don't, it kind of gets them a little riled up.
Yeah, we don't have gators here, thank goodness. So you see red-eye glow near water in the south, it may be a gator. And no gators here, thank goodness.
Yeah, really.
And I haven't seen too many gators stand on their back legs at 7, 8 feet.
Yeah.
So
nope.
I don't know though, man. Some of them get enormous.
Yeah.
There was one in Wakulla Springs
I
that
heard
somebody
them cry
finally.
a few times occasionally.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Their vocals are insane.
It's kind of weird because when we first got into it, we had like the woman screaming
Yeah.
that we thought was, you know, when we went out looking for this woman in the woods and thought somebody was out there, you know.
I thought a woman was being attacked. I was so upset. The one night I woke him up.
Yeah.
And we almost feel that it was one of the females giving birth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What time of the year was it?
It was spring.
No, I don't think so because I remember when I went out, I was wearing a jacket.
It was probably April. It was still cold out.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was so many years ago when that happened.
Yeah.
But like we went out scouring the woods looking for this. We thought there was a woman out there that somebody drug out there.
Yeah, I made the men go out. and then like at first I thought it was an owl. You know, the owls do that too. They scream like women.
Yeah.
But
we never could
Or
figure out what it was.
Yeah. And I was newer into investigating, so
okay.
you know, I didn't like listen for a certain tone or anything like that. I really thought a woman was being attacked.
Yeah. Yeah, Shelley, the first one you saw that you said was a female. How tall was she?
She was 7 foot, 7.5 feet. Yeah, she wasn't real big.
Yeah.
Not like
and
mine.
Steve, the one you saw, the first one.
The first one I saw because I really, like I said, at the point that I saw it, I really didn't pay that much mind to it because I was doing what I was doing. I would say probably 7 to 8 foot, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, you probably saw the same one I did.
It was in full stride.
Yeah.
So it wasn't fully upright. You know how they always say you see him lean forward, you see the arm pump.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I didn't really I wasn't as observant as I am now, where I would have a reference point where I would look for a branch or something.
Right,
to
go back and measure.
I could measure later.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
With that, it was just like one of those weird things. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, I got stuff to do. Leave me alone. And later on, I'm going, I don't know what I really saw out in the woods today. But like I said, the one that I stood face to face with when we went out there, he was over 8 foot.
Yeah, he's big.
I'm a little over 6 foot.
Yeah.
And I was looking up at him.
Yeah.
So I know he was from 8 to 9 foot from where he was. And all you could see was the dark silhouette, and the shoulder width was, wide, probably like 3 foot. Yeah. And all you could see was he just kind of, once he noticed, you could just see him kind of roll his head, and
it's bizarre the way they turn, like they're connected,
was
like everything's
so
connected,
smooth and fluid. Yeah. It was just like the dancer just did his little pirouette and off into the woods. Couldn't hear anything. Yeah. As big as he was and everything in there. Quiet as could be, leave the clutter, plenty of sticks and stuff. Nope,
nothing.
Quiet.
And then this is why we think maybe he didn't realize we could see him, because he only went in and then got down behind this log, looking at us. We're like, we can still see you. I see you. So I said to him, does he think he was in pitch darkness back there? Do they maybe not see our red headlamp? Because I'm telling you, he just stood there like it wasn't a thing. He was behind a branch about this big, and he's this wide. And him and I are just standing there like, what's happening here? Like, why is he just standing so close? And suddenly you could almost see it. Like, he was like, wait a minute, I think they see me. And he just, and then went and ducked behind a log. And we're like, we still see you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happened to us out in Oklahoma. There was one that thought he was hiding behind a sapling. And that's all it was, just a sapling, big butt like, hanging out one side.
Leaves up and went like this. You can't see me.
Yeah, right.
It is crazy because when we do have the visual, and I mean we've had numerous now, but we do spend a lot more time out in the field than probably we should, because we don't get anything else done because we're busy out wandering around in the woods. But it's always when you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
Like you're not set up, you're not really paying attention, and all of a sudden, like you said, you just catch it out of the corner of your eye, and you turn, and all of a sudden, there it is.
Yep.
And you, like I said, you could sit out there all day and be dialed in and looking and not see anything. But the second that you're, scratching your eyeball and you look back up,
there they are.
Something there.
Yeah, you can be there already with your camera and your thermal and everything, and nope,
Never works that way. Yeah, or the best vocal goes off ever.
Yes.
Like the samurai chatter starts, and you're fumbling, trying to get at something on your phone, a recorder.
Yep.
Like you couldn't give me 5 more minutes. It's like they know, like it's funny to them. Like, haha, you didn't get me.
It's possible,
Right? So
they've got the orneriest sense of humor.
They really do. So the day you saw the one behind the sapling, was that during the day or at night?
That was at night.
Did you have your red headlamps on?
No.
Oh, so yous were just.
We had just gotten out of the trucks.
Oh, wow.
And it had crossed the road in front of us, and none of us were ready.
No, well, that's exactly.
Always.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? Why do you think that they think we can't see them?
It was pitch black, where we were, because the trees were covering the road over top of us, and without thermal, couldn't see it.
Gotcha.
Not at all. And then the guy running the thermal, he said, he's just fascinated watching it and completely forgot that he could have recorded it.
Yeah, he forgot that was the night.
That's stuff we do.
That was the night we were up in. I think we were up in Allegheny.
I don't know where we were.
And we had the mountain lion come down.
Yeah.
Well, so she had the FLIR because we had somebody's FLIR. Well,
no, his was a thermal, wasn't a FLIR. It was a full-on thermal.
It was a thermal, but it was a FLIR monoscope, but it had the recording capability on it. Well, it's the first time we had it. We didn't know. So, and when she saw it coming, the cat coming down the hill, coming towards us, she wanted to get in. And she's like, "Open the truck." Well, we're all pitch dark. We can't see what's going on. Well, she could see it, and we get back. He goes, "Did you hit the record button?" She goes, "Record button." I didn't even know it had one on there.
No, because they had said that, there's no mountain lion in PI. There isn't any. That's baloney.
Yep.
So this thing, and it's, how cats do that. Well, to this side was the stream, was the river. And that's what it looked like. He kept looking down there. Like he was hunting deer or something that may have been getting a drink. But there's a guardrail there. So it was almost like he was going to come around and you could see the game trail that kind of went around this guardrail down into the stream. Yeah. So I'm looking down the dirt road with this guy's thermal. And here it comes. And it's just the way that it walked. And I'm looking, I'm like, guys. So I said, unlock the truck, get in the truck, unlock the truck. So
is that the dogs?
We have the new
yeah, we got the new dog. They sat quietly through this whole thing, but now we're gonna play. They're like, all right, you two.
Oh, well, they may need to go out OUT.
So, but yeah, and I'm yelling at him the whole time, and he's going, why? So the girl that we used to research with, she's like, well, I want to see it. I'm like, well, you can see it from inside the truck. So I'm telling him, you don't want to get in the truck. You want to stand there and get eaten by a mountain lion. Fine, I'm getting in the truck.
Yeah.
But it just went down and did
its business. Followed.
Yeah, it would look at us and then look at whatever its target was, and then look at us and look at its target.
Because that right before the mountain lion came down and
scared me half to death.
We had the biggest pack of coyotes sounding off that we've ever experienced.
Yeah,
it had to be 40 coyotes.
It was crazy.
It was like. It was hurting your ears from them, the way they were all.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the mountain lion came down and went that direction.
Yeah.
Like he was going to go get him a meal. They were busy
Wow.
chasing something.
All right.
He decided he was going to go get him some coyote for dinner, I guess.
Yep.
I don't
He
know.
probably did.
Yeah.
But it was one of those.
Yeah. So I said, I thought they said that there wasn't. So we were talking to some of the residents there. And the guy goes, did you find the fencing while you were out hiking in the woods? And I said, actually, we did. And he goes, they're bringing them in trucks.
Yep.
He said, and they're putting them out there and then they're distributing them. He goes, don't let them lie to you.
Yeah.
I said, well, we saw one.
Yeah, I heard that about 10 years ago. Yeah, no, back in 2014, I was talking to a guy who ran into a truck driver who was trucking them in and dropping them off at different sites in Fayette County, Somerset County, and down there, up in the mountains. And then I've heard the same up north also, in the Allegheny National Forest and along.
Yeah, see? And they want to lie to people, make you feel like you're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, my husband saw one here last summer.
Really? Yeah, I don't want to play with them. Yeah, that's not a here kitty kitty moment.
No, nope.
No, I'm scared. Seeing what they've done to people that are hiking or biking or
Yeah, I go outside with my dog. I don't let her loose anymore. I go outside with her.
That stinks. That's a shame. And they're hungry because we just keep ruining our forest.
Well, there's plenty of deer out there that they can get. So
yeah, don't come to my yard. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's almost 10 o'clock, and I think that we had a really great evening. And I do appreciate the two of you coming on and sharing your stories with us and your experiences.
Thank you for the invite. We appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And I know you're going to be on Old Line Cryptids, next week?
Next week, I think Tuesday.
Yeah, they're every Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So I'll jump on the chat for their show. And
Perfect.
Yeah.
But because us, we normally don't do a lot of podcasts, and then they all came at the same time. So, good thing we have a lot of stories.
Good thing we've had all this snow to keep us from really getting out and traipsing around, because normally we would be outside. But
that's true.
No, I'd been wanting to get you on, and I was talking with the guys down in Maryland, and it reminded me. I said, "Okay, I have to get you guys scheduled."
Yeah. Yep.
So
that's what I said. We have stuff to talk about.
Yes, fantastic. So, guys, if you have any more questions, get on Old Line Cryptids next Tuesday evening, 8:30, and where you can ask them your questions on that show. So write them down, save them up, and. But thank you so much, Steve Shelly.
Thank you, Mary. We love you.
Love you too. You take care, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, guys. I think we're going to shut it down now. And thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening. And we'll see you next Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. And remember, next Wednesday, we will have the Bible teacher, and he'll be going over a few things scriptural about about the Nephilim, seraphim, cherubim, Elohim, and all the. I know that there's around 90 some different angelic beings. And I don't know how many he'll be going over, but I think next week will be a great show also. But I want to thank Steve Shelly, fantastic people. Please follow them on Facebook. Just type in the word habit, HABIT. I forgot to put a link, in the description for their group, but join it. Fantastic couple, and and sometime maybe we'll get them to come on one of the southern campouts. Okay, guys, take it easy. We'll see you next Wednesday. So God bless, and Monkey Wench out.